What if what you call sight was actually a carefully programmed blindness? What if the light your biological eyes capture isn't reality, but an interface, a limited spectrum simulation designed to hide the jailers walking among us? Welcome. If you've arrived here, it's because the glitch in the matrix has already started to appear to you. You felt it, didn't you? That movement in the corner of your eye when you're alone? The sensation of weight on your chest when irrational fear takes over for no apparent reason. They told you it was tiredness. Science told you it was pareidolia. The church told you it was a lack of faith. But the title of this video, The Ancient Technique, How to Train Your Vision to See the Archons, is not a metaphor. It is an instruction manual that has been burned, buried, and ridiculed for millennia. They never wanted you to know that your inability to see these entities is not natural. It is artificial. It is a genetic modification, a spiritual suppression imposed the moment your infinite consciousness was compressed into this dense biological suit. What we are about to unearth today is the forbidden technology. We are going to talk about how the Nag Hammadi texts describe the human body not as a temple, but as a sensory tomb designed to filter out the frequency of the Pleroma. We are going to talk about the divine spark not as a poetic concept, but as advanced frequency technology, capable of tearing the veil and revealing the true face of the parasites that feed on your anxiety. You need to understand the urgency of this. The veil is thinning. The structure of the soul prison, maintained by the Demiurge, is showing cracks. That is why you feel this pressure, this desperate need to seek answers. They are trying to patch the breaches with distractions, fear, and global chaos, but your gnosis is awakening. What we are going to do in the next few minutes is dangerous to the status quo of your reality. We are going to reverse the shutdown of your light. We are going to train your vision, not to see ghosts, but to see the architecture of control that has drained your vitality life after life. Breathe deep. What you are about to hear is the key they tried to hide inside your own DNA. The rebellion starts now. The genetic archive and imposed blindness. To understand how to train your vision, first, you need to understand why it was turned off. The traditional religious narrative, the one repeated exhaustively in Sunday masses and catechisms, says that you were made in the image and likeness of a benevolent creator, and that your senses are perfect for appreciating creation. This is the basis of the illusion, the foundational lie. When we open the forbidden codices of Nag Hammadi, specifically the Apocryphon of John, we find a radically different and terrifying narrative. The text describes the creation of the human body not as a gift, but as a trap. The Archons, led by the Demiurge, the blind and arrogant false god, molded physical matter to imprison the divine spark that had been stolen from the Pleroma, the fullness of true light. Understand what this means for your biology. Your eyes were not made to see the truth. They were made to see the illusion. The visible light spectrum is tiny. It is a narrow frequency band permitted by the system. Everything that exists outside this band, infrared, ultraviolet, and crucially, the etheric dimensions where the Archons operate, is invisible to your body's standard hardware. They hacked your avatar. Human DNA, in its current configuration, contains blocks, biological firewalls, that prevent the pineal gland and the heart from processing higher frequencies. The Church called this original sin, a moral stain you must carry with guilt. But Gnosis reveals that it is not a moral failing, it is technical sabotage. You are not a sinner. You are a prisoner of war in a body designed to be its own jailer. Think of the perfect engineering of this system. If you could see, with total clarity, an Archontic entity attaching itself to your auric field to feed on your rage during a traffic dispute, or sucking your vitality during a depressive episode, you would immediately stop generating that emotion. You would cut off the food supply. The system would collapse. Therefore, their invisibility is the key to their survival. They need you to believe that your intrusive thoughts are yours. They need you to believe that the weight on your shoulders is just stress. Humanity's blindness is the safety mechanism of the human farm. And here lies a secondary trap, even more insidious, which the Nag Hammadi texts, like the Apocalypse of Peter, warn us about urgently: the false light. The Demiurge is not stupid. He knows your soul yearns for enlightenment. So, he creates simulations of it. Many who try to see without proper gnosis training are seduced by shining entities, archons dressing up as guides, angels, or masters, offering comfort in exchange for new contracts of submission. Your untrained vision sees the glow and assumes divinity, but it is just a high-voltage hologram. The ancient technique requires you to test the spirits. If the entity you visualize demands worship, hierarchy, or fear, it is a jailer disguised as a savior. The true light of the Pleroma does not dazzle and does not ask for servants. It emanates sovereignty. Without this discernment, you merely trade a dark cell for a golden cell, remaining trapped in the wheel of samsara, recycling your soul in false light missions that never end. Pause for a second. Close your eyes now. Breathe. Feel the boundary of your skin. Feel the weight of your body on the chair. Notice how this physical sensation seems to be all that you are. This density is the illusion. Now, try to feel, just with intention, the space 2 inches off your skin. Try to feel the air vibrating around you. This attempt, this small effort to extend your perception beyond the flesh, is the beginning of breaking the firewall. It is your system trying to reconnect the cosmic Wi-Fi that was cut. Frequency parasitism. Now, let's go deeper into the nature of what we are trying to see. The title speaks of seeing the Archons, but don't expect to see horror movie monsters all the time. Their form is mutable because their substance is not matter. It is frequency. In Gnostic texts, like the Pistis Sophia, they are often described as abortions of matter, soulless beings, lacking the creative divine spark. They cannot generate light. They can only consume it. This makes them, by cosmic definition, parasites. The vision technique we are discussing requires you to understand the concept of louche, or emotional energy. The Demiurge and his legions operate at a very specific vibration: low frequency, fear, shame, guilt, hate, uncontrolled lust, despair. These emotions are not just chemical states in your brain. They are energy transmissions. When you vibrate at these frequencies, you become visible to them and blind to the Pleroma. It is a cruel paradox. The more food you give them, the less you can see them. It is as if the smoke of your own suffering hides the predator. And here enters the modern connection most ignore. Look at the world today. Look at the architecture of our society. 24-hour news focused on catastrophes. Social media algorithmically designed to generate outrage and comparison. Pop music tuned to frequencies that stimulate the lower chakras. Do you think this is accidental? Do you think it's just capitalism? No, this is a buffet. Modern society is a terraforming machine designed to keep humanity's collective vibration exactly in the frequency range where the Archons can feed and remain invisible. Your phone, that black screen you carry like an idol, is the modern black mirror of the Archons. The blue light it emits interferes with your production of melatonin and endogenous DMT, further calcifying your spiritual vision. The quick dopamine and subsequent depletion are the perfect harvest cycle. They no longer need to be physically next to you, whispering in your ear. They now whisper through notifications. They drain your divine spark pixel by pixel, leaving you too exhausted to meditate, too exhausted to question, too exhausted to activate the vision. When you feel drained after hours of infinite scrolling, that is not just eye strain. It is a spiritual blood transfusion. You have been milked. The ancient technique Havrifin, noun Tibetic of vision, requires, first and foremost, the conservation of your energy. You cannot turn on a searchlight if you have no battery. The suppression of the truth about the parasitic nature of these entities serves to ensure you continue donating your energy voluntarily, believing you are just entertaining yourself or getting informed. Let's do a micro-practice of recognition now. Think of the last time you had a brutally self-deprecating thought, a voice that said, "You are worthless," or "No one loves you." Analyze the texture of that voice. Did it sound like you? Or did it sound like something cold, metallic, repetitive? Gnosticism teaches that these thoughts are insertions, the counterfeit spirit, antimimon pneuma, that attaches to the soul. Recognizing that this voice is not you is the first step of vision. You aren't seeing with your eyes yet. You are seeing with discernment. It is the soul's sonar, detecting the enemy submarine. The optics of the Pleroma. To see the Archons, you shouldn't look into the darkness. You must increase your own light until the darkness has nowhere to hide. This is where the divine spark stops being an abstract concept and becomes engineering. The Nag Hammadi texts speak of the light that casts no shadow. The Pleroma is a reality of unity, of high frequency, of pure conscious information. Your spark is a fragment of that. It is a quantum transmitter that was buried under layers of psychic sludge. The ancient technique isn't about forcing physical eyes to hallucinate. It's about tuning your brain and heart to process broadband data. Imagine your consciousness is a radio. Currently, it is locked on the Demiurge's AM station. Static, fear, noise. Training your vision is turning the dial to the Pleroma's FM. When you do this, two things happen. First, you feel a peace that makes no logical sense to the world around you. Second, the interference starts to appear. When you increase the resolution of your consciousness, the glitches in reality become obvious. You start to see synchronicities not as coincidences, but as the language of the Pleroma trying to contact you. And conversely, you start to see Archontic manipulations for what they are. You look at a political leader lying, and you don't just see a man. You see the energetic shadow, the puppet. You look at an advertisement and see the code of scarcity embedded in it. This is seeing the Archons. It is seeing the intention behind the form. It is seeing the energetic signature of the prison. But they fear, above all, sound, vibration. In the beginning was the Word, right? But in the Gnostic context, sound is the tool that organizes or disorganizes matter. The Archons use noise to keep the illusion cohesive. Your voice, charged with the intention of your divine spark, is a sonic weapon. Specific frequencies, chants, or even absolute resonant silence act as a signal disruptor to their camouflage. That is why the world is so noisy. Silence is the space where vision is born. The internal resonance chamber, the final preparation for the technique, involves the body as a resonance chamber. The Demiurge created the body to be dense, but through gnosis, we can transform it. We can accelerate the vibration of the cells. When ancient texts speak of ascension or light body, they are speaking of physics, increasing the oscillation of your atomic particles so they cease to interact with the heavy density of the control matrix. When you reach this state, even for brief moments, the Archons' camouflage fails. They appear as fleeting shadows, as distortions in the air, as patches of visual static. Do not be afraid when this happens. Fear lowers your frequency back to their dinner plate. The reaction must be one of sovereignty. I see you. You have no authority here. This is the stance of the Gnostic, not that of a victim, but that of an immortal who remembered who they are. Vision is, ultimately, an act of authority. The soul technology, the vision protocol. We arrive now at the practical core. The Leitauris soul technology, the title promised. We aren't going to use external tools, crystals, or complex church rituals. We are going to use your internal hardware. This is the practice of gnosis, to clear the field and force vision. Follow this protocol seriously. This is reverse engineering your prison. Step 1. Decoupling the avatar, you need to convince your nervous system that you are safe, to turn off the survival mode that feeds the parasite. Sit in a dark or dimly lit place. Physical darkness helps deactivate the visual sensor addicted to the matrix. Breathe in a box rhythm. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold 4. Exhale 4. Hold 4. While doing this, visualize that you are taking off a heavy suit. Imagine that your worries, your name, your social identity, your job, are just clothes you are leaving on the floor. Say internally, I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am the spark that observes. Repeat until you feel a slight detachment, numbness, or tingling. This is you, unplugging the Demiurge's cables. Step 2. The sonic cleaning frequency. Now let's use sound to clear the Archontic static from your field. Keep your eyes closed. Start producing a sound with your mouth closed. A deep humming, vibrating in the chest and rising to the throat. The sound, Feel this physical vibration shaking your skull. Imagine that this sound is liquid golden light, filling your brain and expelling a black smoke. Understand the occult science behind this. Your blood is rich in iron. In alchemical Gnosticism, iron is the element that magnetically anchors us to the dense grid of the earth, the very infrastructure of the Demiurge. Iron reacts to the magnetic field of the illusion. When you introduce this specific sound vibration into your body, you are agitating the crystalline structure of the water in your blood and, metaphysically, altering the polarity of that iron. You are ceasing to be a heavy anchor in their reality to become a conductive antenna for the Pleroma. It is a necessary biological purification. You cannot tune into the frequency of freedom if your own blood is acting as a magnet for the prison. Increase the intensity. The sound must be loud enough that you cannot hear your own thoughts. If an intrusive thought comes, turn up the volume of the humming to dissolve it. You are reclaiming the airspace of your mind. Do this for at least 3 minutes. This creates a dome of high-frequency protection around you. Step 3. The gaze of the Pleroma, peripheral vision. Open your eyes gently, but do not focus on anything. Keep your gaze soft, unfocused, as if looking through the wall in front of you. Archon vision happens in the periphery, where the cones and rods of your eyes function differently. With this relaxed vision, scan the environment without moving your pupils, using only peripheral perception. Project the intention of your heart, your divine spark, outward like a radar. Say mentally or whisper with authority, everything that is hidden, reveal yourself. I withdraw my consent to be deceived. Watch for distortions in the air, small lights, or shadows that move when you are not looking directly. If you feel a shiver or a presence, do not feel fear. Feel curiosity and power. Focus your internal light in that direction. You will notice that the Prenain Torn Sein Kan Forn presence retreats before your conscious observation. You have just repelled a parasite simply by the act of seeing it. Practice this daily. The more you practice, the more your brain learns to decode these frequencies automatically. You are training the software to ignore the Demiurge's filter. The journey from paranoia to sovereignty is not an easy path. As you begin this training, you will encounter resistance. The system will try to distract you, tire you, seduce you back into deep sleep with empty pleasures or unnecessary dramas. This is the sign that it is working. If the jailers are nervous, it's because the prisoner is close to the exit. You now possess the key. The title of this video, which seemed like just an esoteric curiosity, has revealed itself as a call to arms for your soul. The ancient technique is the remembrance of who you are. They may have designed the labyrinth, but you are the light that illuminates it. Darkness only has power as long as it remains hidden. The moment you train your vision, the moment you see the mechanisms of the Matrix, the game changes. You cease to be a battery and become a creator. The rebellion will not be televised. It will be perceived, felt, and visualized by those who had the courage to open their internal eyes. I ask you, awakened soul, will you choose to remember? Will you hold the gaze when the illusion starts to shake? Leave in the comments the phrase, "I see the truth." Seal this commitment publicly. Share your energy with others in the comments. For where two or more are gathered in gnosis, the prison trembles. Subscribe if you are part of the silent resistance that is dismantling the old reality. Your vision is your freedom. Do not waste it sleeping.